The chosen one of wealth. Why you think differently about money. Some people walk into a room and instantly see money in a way others don't. Not because they're greedier, not because they're luckier, but because they're running a different operating system. Have you ever felt this? People say, if you have money, you should upgrade, car, watch, lifestyle, and your brain immediately replies, why buy it if it doesn't produce cash flow? Someone brags about a higher income, and you don't hear the number, you hear the danger. Their fixed costs just grew faster than their income. Everyone is chasing get rich fast, and the two words that make you most uneasy are fast and easy. If that's you, you're not weird. You might be touching a simple truth. You think differently about money because you see money as a system, not a thing to spend. This is for the kind of person who secretly feels, I wasn't built to live like the crowd. Not out of arrogance, out of clarity. Because deep down, you know, wealth isn't luck, it's design. 1. The chosen one isn't born rich. They're the one who doesn't get hypnotized by the crowd's money story. Most people live inside familiar financial stories. I'll invest once I have more money. Enjoy life now. I'll figure it out later. Work hard and you'll get rich. Owning a house means you're safe. Money is mostly luck. They sound harmless, but they produce a very predictable loop. Earn to spend, to struggle, to borrow, to repay, to repeat. The chosen one mindset isn't about never spending. It's about having one rare skill. You can spot the trap inside the story. You don't fall for appearances. When you hear a sentence, your mind asks, when is this actually true? Who benefits if I believe this? If I live by this for 10 years, who will I become? 3 questions, and you've already stepped out of the crowd. 2. You don't see money as a goal. You see it as a flow of energy. Most people see money as a still image. Bank balance, salary, asset value. You see it like a video. Inflow to outflow to retention rate to system durability. You care about, is my income repeatable? Are my expenses expanding emotionally? Does today's choice increase or reduce my future freedom? Am I buying status or buying cash flow capability? That difference is massive. Most people want to have money. You want to build a machine that produces money. That machine can be a skill, a personal brand, a portfolio, a sales engine, a small business, or a career designed intelligently to scale. You don't dream of winning the lottery. You dream of a system that doesn't collapse when life shakes. 3. You dislike get rich fast, not because you fear wealth, because you understand hidden risk. People hear double your account in a month and feel excitement. You hear it and feel cold. Because you know, high returns without a clear mechanism usually come with 3 things. Excessive leverage, information asymmetry, the seller knows more than the buyer, tail risk, one crash wipes out everything. You're not against opportunities. You just refuse opportunities that require you to switch your brain off. The chosen one mindset doesn't need adrenaline. It needs repeatability and control. You want wealth in a way that, if you get sick for 3 months, your system doesn't die. If markets shake, you don't panic. If one income stream disappears, you still have others. That isn't paranoia. That's financial maturity. 4. You don't ask, how do I make more? Before you ask, where is it leaking? Here's a truth that upsets many people. You can increase income and still stay poor if your costs rise faster. Most people chase higher salary, more orders, bigger revenue. You look for leaks, because wealth doesn't always come from a breakthrough. It often comes from plugging holes and increasing retention. Someone earning $1,200 and keeping $400 is stronger than someone earning $2,500 and keeping $50. Because long-term wealth is what you keep plus how you multiply it over time. You pay attention to, are fixed costs eating my freedom? Am I spending to soothe emotions instead of building real security? Am I using money as therapy or as strategy? And the moment you ask these questions, you start living like the wealthy, before you become wealthy. 5. You treat spending as a strategy, not a reflex. Most people spend reflexively. Tired arrow buy, sad arrow buy, insecure arrow buy, discount arrow buy. You spend like a strategist. You naturally sort spending into 3 categories: spending to survive, basic needs; spending to increase capability, skills, tools, health, value-building experiences; spending to signal status, to be seen. You're comfortable with 2. You're extremely aware of 3. You don't hate enjoyment. You hate enjoyment that trades your future for a few hours of emotion. That's why you sometimes feel out of place in normal money conversations. 6. You know financial class isn't about money. It's about freedom ratio. Someone can have $80,000 and live like they're handcuffed. Debt, pressure, high fixed costs, constant fear. Someone else can have $8,000 and feel freer. Low fixed costs, strong skills, a buffer, a system. You don't get hypnotized by numbers. You're drawn to questions like, if I stop working for 6 months, am I okay? If I change careers, do I have the ability? If my family faces an emergency, can I absorb it? That's not someone trying to look rich. That's someone trying to be unafraid. 7. You're not terrified of starting over, because your real asset is your mindset. Most people fear losing money because they think money creates them. You know money is a result. The thing that creates results is skills, discipline, network, decision-making ability, a high-quality mental filter. You can lose an amount and still rebuild, because you've trained the ability to reproduce value. You build capability before you build assets. That makes you dangerous in a good way. You don't depend on luck. You depend on systems. 8. The chosen one of wealth lives by 3 invisible rules most people ignore. Rule 1. Money follows clarity. The clearer you are about your costs, debts, goals, and systems, the less money leaks away. Confusion is where wealth disappears. Rule 2. Wealth is a time game, not an emotion game. The more emotional your financial decisions, the more tuition you pay. The more rule-based your decisions, the more stable you become. Rule 3. Don't optimize returns before you optimize survival. Survival means emergency fund, reasonable insurance, controlled leverage, risk diversification. The ones who survive long enough meet compound interest. 9. If you feel different, use that difference as a strategic advantage. Feeling different can be lonely. In finance, it's a superpower, because durable wealth often comes from behaviors that are boring. Consistency, discipline, accumulation, system optimization, emotional trap, avoidance, long-term investing. Most people can't tolerate boring. You can, and that alone puts you ahead. 10. A quick test. How chosen one are you? Financially? Answer these fast. No perfection required. Do I know my exact monthly fixed costs? Do I have at least 3 to 6 months of emergency reserves? Do I invest or accumulate automatically and consistently? Do I have at least 2 income streams, even small ones? Do I have a skill I can sell in the market anytime? Do I have rules that stop emotional financial decisions? Do I have a 12-month financial plan, minimum? If you said yes to 4+, you're already beyond most people. If you said yes to 6 to 7, you're not just thinking differently, you're living differently. Conclusion: you're not chosen because you're special. You're chosen because you choose truth. Wealth doesn't pick the smartest person. It picks the most consistent person with the right system. If you've always felt you don't fit the crowd's money thinking, don't force yourself to blend in. You weren't built for the loop. You were built to design a financial life where money is a tool, freedom is the target, systems are the weapon, time is the ally. And once you see it clearly, you realize the chosen one of wealth isn't a title, it's a daily decision. Chosen to be rich. The financial mindset most people never develop. Most people spend their whole lives trying to make more money. A smaller group spends their lives trying to become the kind of person money naturally stays with. That's the difference. Because wealth isn't only a number, it's a mindset, an internal operating system that determines how you earn, how you spend, how you invest, and how you react when life gets unstable. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never develop that system. Not because they're not smart, not because they're lazy, but because nobody taught them the rules. So they live by emotional habits instead of financial principles. This is what it means to be chosen to be rich. Not chosen by luck. Chosen by your decisions. 1. Most people think money is the reward. Wealthy minds treat money as a tool. The average person sees money like a trophy. If I get more, I'll finally be safe. But a wealthy mind sees money as a tool for control. Control over time, control over stress, control over options, control over your future. That's why wealthy thinkers don't ask, how much can I buy? First, they ask, how much freedom does this purchase remove or create? Because every dollar has two lives. The life you spend today, the life you could have built tomorrow. Most people only see the first life. 2. Most people manage money emotionally. Wealthy minds manage money mechanically. This is where the real separation happens. Most people spend because they feel something. Tired arrow spend, stressed arrow spend, insecure arrow spend, comparing themselves, arrow spend, celebrating arrow overspend. A wealthy mind doesn't eliminate emotion. It just refuses to let emotion drive the steering wheel. Wealthy minds build mechanisms, automatic savings, automatic investing, a fixed budget structure, rules for big purchases, a system for tracking cash flow. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on design. Because motivation is unreliable. Systems are predictable. 3. Most people chase income. Wealthy minds obsess over retention. Here's a truth that hurts. You don't get rich by earning more. You get rich by keeping more and multiplying what you keep. You can earn $5,000 a month and still be broke if your life costs $4,900. You can earn $1,500 a month and build wealth if your system keeps $400 consistently. Wealthy minds watch the leaks. Subscriptions they forgot, lifestyle inflation, emotional spending, debt payments, small daily purchases that quietly become huge. Most people increase their income and immediately increase their lifestyle. Wealthy minds increase income and keep their lifestyle stable long enough for wealth to actually form. That's retention. Retention is the foundation that makes investing even possible. 4. Most people want fast. Wealthy minds want repeatable. A lot of people don't lose money because they're stupid. They lose money because they fall in love with speed. Double your money. Quick flips. Secret strategies. Guaranteed returns. Wealthy minds hear that and immediately ask, what's the mechanism? Where's the risk hidden? What happens in the worst month? Is this repeatable without luck? Because wealthy people understand something most people don't. Stability creates compounding. Chaos destroys compounding. You don't need one big win. You need a system that survives long enough for small wins to stack. That's why wealthy minds prioritize survival. Emergency reserves, controlled debt, diversification insurance where it makes sense, risk management before returns. Most people optimize for profit first. Wealthy minds optimize for not dying financially. 5. Most people buy status. Wealthy minds buy assets and skills. This is a painful one because society rewards appearances. Most people are trained to spend money to look successful. The car, the brand, the upgrades, the image. But wealthy minds spend money to become successful. Skills that increase earning power, tools that increase productivity, assets that generate cash flow, education that upgrades decision-making, relationships that expand opportunities. They might still enjoy nice things, but they don't confuse nice with necessary. They understand. Status is expensive, capability pays. 4. Most people want fast. Wealthy minds want repeatable. A lot of people don't lose money because they're stupid. They lose money because they fall in love with speed. Double your money. Quick flips. Secret strategies. Guaranteed returns. Wealthy minds hear that and immediately ask, what's the mechanism? Where's the risk hidden? What happens in the worst month? Is this repeatable without luck? Because wealthy people understand something most people don't. Stability creates compounding. Chaos destroys compounding. You don't need one big win. You need a system that survives long enough for small wins to stack. That's why wealthy minds prioritize survival. Emergency reserves, controlled debt, diversification insurance where it makes sense, risk management before returns. Most people optimize for profit first. Wealthy minds optimize for not dying financially. 5. Most people buy status. Wealthy minds buy assets and skills. This is a painful one because society rewards appearances. Most people are trained to spend money to look successful. The car, the brand, the upgrades, the image. But wealthy minds spend money to become successful. Skills that increase earning power, tools that increase productivity, assets that generate cash flow, education that upgrades decision-making, relationships that expand opportunities. They might still enjoy nice things, but they don't confuse nice with necessary. They understand status is expensive, capability pays. 6. Most people think like consumers. Wealthy minds think like owners. A consumer asks, how do I afford this? An owner asks, how do I make this pay for itself? This one shift changes everything. Owners don't just work for income. They build equity systems, brand leverage, scalable value. They don't just want a job. They want an engine. Even if you're employed, you can think like an owner. Build rare skills, negotiate value, create side income streams, invest consistently, increase your market power. Chosen to be rich doesn't mean you start rich. It means you start thinking like someone who builds wealth deliberately. 7. The mindset most people never develop. Delayed gratification with a purpose. Most people can delay gratification for a week. Wealthy minds can delay gratification for years because the purpose is clear. They're not depriving themselves. They're buying the future. They understand a simple law. If you can consistently trade short-term comfort for long-term freedom, you eventually get both. But if you consistently trade long-term freedom for short-term comfort, you eventually lose both. That's the real mindset. Not hustle, not hacks, not luck. Just that one discipline, executed over time.